Good evening and welcome to the 7 o'clock main news. In tonight's headlines, His Highness the Emir leaves for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to join a meeting of the leaders of the Gulf Cooperation Council. The Council of Ministers and the Supreme Petroleum Council called a joint meeting to discuss the impact of the ongoing drop in oil prices. Armed clashes break out in Libya's capital Tripoli, closing down the city's main working airport. A high-profile advocate of women's rights survives a blast in which 3 people are killed in Kabul. The G20 group of nations agree to boost flagging global growth and to unite against Ebola. His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah and his accompanying official delegation left Kuwait this evening for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where His Highness will meet their Majesties and Highnesses, leaders of the Gulf Cooperation Council member states. His Highness was seen off at the airport by His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, His Excellency the National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanim, His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, His Excellency the Minister of Emiri Diwan Affairs Sheikh Nasser Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Sabah, and Cabinet members. His Highness the Emir is accompanied by an official delegation comprising of His Excellency the First Deputy Premier and Minister of Foreign Affairs Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Director of His Highness the Emir's Office Ahmed Fahd Al-Fahd, and Head of Emiri Protocol and Ceremonies Sheikh Khalid Al-Abdullah Al-Sabah Al-Nasser Al-Sabah. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received at Saif Palace today His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah. His Highness the Emir also received His Excellency the National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanim. His Highness the Emir then received His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister. His Highness the Emir later received His Excellency the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received at Saif Palace this morning His Excellency the National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanim and members of the House Bureau in the current 3rd legislative term, namely the Deputy Speaker Mbarak ibn Al-Khrenij, the House Secretary Adil Al-Khrafi, the House Observer Ahmed Lari, Chairman of the Legislative and Legal Committee Mbarak Al-Hris, and Chairman of the Committee of Financial and Economic Affairs Faisal Al-Shaya. The meeting took place on the occasion of the Bureau's new formation. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received at Saif Palace today a number of prominent members of the Arumi family who came to express thanks and gratitude to His Highness the Emir for the efforts made by His Highness, which culminated in the issuance of the Emiri pardon for their son Salman Ahmed Shamlan Al-Rumi. Mr. Muhammad Yusuf Al-Rumi recited a poem on this occasion in praise of His Highness the Emir on the occasion of being named by the United Nations as the leader of humanitarian action. Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received at Saif Palace today His Excellency the National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al-Ghanim. His Highness then received His Highness Sheikh Jaber al-Mbarak al-Hamad al-Sabah, the Prime Minister. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince also received His Excellency the First Deputy Premier and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sheikh Sabah al-Khalid al-Hamad al-Sabah. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince later received His Excellency the Deputy Premier and Minister of Interior, Sheikh Mohammed al-Khalid al-Hamad al-Sabah. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince then received the Deputy Premier and Minister of Defence, Sheikh Khalid al-Jarrah al-Sabah. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince also received His Excellency the Minister of Information and Minister of State for Youth Affairs, Sheikh Salman Sabah Salim al-Hmoud al-Sabah. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince then received His Excellency the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah al-Mbarak al-Sabah. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf al-Ahmed al-Jaber al-Sabah received at his Diwan in Sif Palace at noon today a number of prominent members of Al-Rumi family who expressed their deep thanks and gratitude for the Emiri pardon of their son Salman Ahmed Shamlan al-Rumi. The meeting was attended by the head of His Highness the Crown Prince's Diwan, Sheikh Mbarak al-Faisal al-Saud al-Sabah. The Council of Ministers and the Supreme Council of Petroleum met in an extraordinary session this afternoon, which was chaired by His Highness Sheikh Jaber al-Mbarak al-Hamad al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, to assess on the impact of the recent drop in oil prices on the state's budget. Speaking after the meeting, the Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah al-Mbarak al-Sabah, said the meeting reviewed a report submitted by the Minister of Oil, Dr. Ali al-Umair, and senior officials of Kuwait Petroleum Corporation. The report elaborated on the decrease in oil prices throughout the last few months and the factors which affected the prices, including the economic and political factors. The report also explained the impact of this drop on the international economy and the prospects of economic growth at the international level. It also determined out the challenges which must be dealt with and how to face the upcoming phase. The meeting discussed the potential results of the drop in the oil in the state revenues, as well as the general budget, the development plan and the national economy in general. They also discussed the measures that should be taken at all levels and in every area to confront this drop in oil prices, including the need for further consultation with OPEC members to try to check this reduction in oil prices and to take the best possible measures to secure the stability of the prices. The Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs added that the Council of Ministers and the Supreme Council of Petroleum underlined the need to take the initiative for adopting practical and calculated measures to face the consequences of a possible further drop in oil prices and to address the existing imbalance in the economy. The Women's Cultural Social Association in Al Khaldiya recently hosted Dr. Ghassan Abu Sita in a special seminar to talk about his personal experience as a surgeon during the recent war on the Gaza Strip. Israeli forces started the aggression on the Gaza Strip on the 8th of July 2014 by launching what they called Strong Cliff Operation. 7 weeks of Israeli bombardment, Palestinian rocket attacks and ground fighting killed more than 2,200 people, most of them children. Hiba Abdurrahman has more in this report.
At the American University Hospital in Beirut, Dr. Ghassan Abu Sita reviewed his personal experience about what he saw during his stay in Gaza during the recent Israeli aggression on the Gaza Strip. This came during a seminar held by the Women's Cultural and Social Association at its headquarters in Al Khaldiya. At the beginning of the seminar, Dr. Ghassan dedicated special thanks to the people of Kuwait and the political leadership, especially in supporting the Palestinian cause, as well as the Cultural and Social Association for hosting the seminar.
It's going to be a personal account of what I saw, the conclusions that I came out with from this war, and what I feel are the things that we can do and need to do to help the people in Gaza prepare for the next war. So the, the war made it clear that the whole aim was the physical annihilation of the Palestinian people. When 77 families are completely wiped out from the civil register, which means that grandfather, parents, and grandchildren are completely wiped out of the face of the earth. When you have what is the equivalent of 9 nuclear bombs dropped on a place that is 40 kilometers by 14 kilometers, 360 kilometers square, when you have a daily quota of between 100 and 150 killed, then you come away realizing that this goes beyond a political project, and it's really aimed at the annihilation of the Palestinian people. And what we need to do is support the people in Gaza to prepare themselves to be able to withstand the next war, and in particular support the health system, the health professionals, to increase their readiness for the next war.
Speaking about his own experience in voluntary work in Gaza during the recent Israeli attack, where he worked as a volunteer, he explained how the medical sector in the Gaza Strip did not collapse despite the Israeli brutal attack, and that the medical staff of the Palestinian volunteers and the doctors have contributed to addressing more than 12,000 wounded in 51 days, adding that the cause of the collapse of the non-health sector in Gaza was due to the dedication of the members of the health sector in their work for the duration of the attack. Dr. Ghassan talked also about the details of the Battle of Al-Shuja'iyya, when a large number of martyrs and wounded were recorded, and how the Israeli air bombardment targeted even the ambulance. The outcome of the attack was about 240 martyrs and wounded. He described how the corridors of the hospital were covered in blood and body parts of the victims of the bombings. The recent Israeli attack resulted in 2,200 martyrs, 35% of them children, and more than 12,000 injured, 30% of them were children also, and 1,800 orphans and hundreds of families homeless. At the conclusion of his speech, Dr. Ghassan demanded the support of the civil society organizations to support the health sector in Gaza in order to prepare for the coming battle with the Israeli enemy. Today's seminar is considered an important role done by not only the government of Kuwait, but also by different civil societies and entities in the country to strongly support and back the Palestinians and the Palestinian cause. From the Women Cultural Social Society in Al Khaldiya area, this is Abd Rahman reporting for English News.
Armed clashes broke out in Libya's capital Tripoli, closing down the city's main working airport. A spokesman for the Civil Aviation Authority said Mitiga Airport had been closed because of the security situation. Mitiga has operated as the capital's main airport since fighting in the summer damaged and shut Tripoli International Airport. It wasn't immediately clear who was involved in Sunday's fighting, and there was no confirmation from health authorities of any casualties. In the 3 years since the fall of Muammar al-Gaddafi, Libya has struggled to overcome instability with heavily armed rival factions who once fought side by side to oust the autocrat, now competing for power. A car bomb blast targeted a member of parliament rocked today the Afghan capital Kabul, killing 3 people and injuring 22 others. The member of parliament Shukriya Bakrazai survived the blast with minor injuries. The attack happened when Bakrazai was heading to the parliament. The attacker drove a car in an attempt to collide with the member of parliament and then detonated the explosives. The blast also damaged nearby cars and buildings. So far, no organisation has claimed responsibility for the attack. US President Barack Obama departed for the US today as the G20 summit held in Australia this year came to an end. Leaders from the G20 group of nations agreed to boost flagging global growth, tackle climate change and crack down on tax avoidance, but ties between the West and Russia plummeted to a new low over the crisis in the Ukraine. World leaders also agreed to unite in the fight against Ebola, which Britain's David Cameron said was not only a humanitarian crisis but also a security threat. Russian President Vladimir Putin left the G20 summit in Brisbane early as US President Barack Obama accused Russia of invading Ukraine and Britain warned of a possible frozen conflict in Europe. Klaus Iohannis, Romanian presidential candidate and mayor of Sibiu, cast his ballot today in the country's presidential runoff vote. He is running against Prime Minister Victor Ponta, who looks set to become Romania's youngest president. Ponta has led opinion polls and took a comfortable lead over Iohannis, his nearest challenger, in the first round election on November 2nd. Thousands protested in Romania after expats in Paris, London, Munich and elsewhere said they had to stand in line for hours and were unable to vote in the first round. The government maintains it has improved the voting procedure. The winner will replace President Traian Băsescu, who steps down after 10 years. Spain and Kuwait recently celebrated 50 years of diplomatic relations. A large gathering of officials, diplomatic corps and Spanish community members attended the celebration at Kuwait National Library. The ambassador of Spain to Kuwait, His Excellency Carlos Sáenz de Hada, praised Kuwait-Spanish relations and reiterated the strong bonds of friendship between the two countries. Badria Saleh brings us this story.
Recently regarding the development of the deep-rooted relations between Kuwait and Spain on the occasion of the Golden Jubilee of the two countries' ties. Minister of Information and Minister of State for Youth Affairs, Sheikh Salman Sabah Salim Al Mahmoud Al Sabah, the ambassador of Spain to Kuwait, as well as other diplomats, gathered to celebrate and remember this long bilateral history.
We are celebrating our 50th anniversary, and we have arranged this project, this presentation that has been made on the story of the diplomatic relations between our two countries in this span of 50 years. And I think it's been a splendid occasion to meet together, to go through some of the memories of these 50 years, and to witness and to just attest to the fact that our relations are magnificent between our two countries. This is part of a series of events that we're organizing in order to celebrate our 50th anniversary, and we are most grateful to all the Kuwaiti institutions that have contributed and helped us in arranging these events.
The relations between state always celebrate, as humans, we celebrate memories of good relations, because it's one way to appreciate each other. We, in this memorial standing, we appreciate the Spanish and their relation with us, and they're doing the same. I think we are very good partners at two countries and two nations, and we hope to stay this way, and that is for the good of the two.
A discussion table was held on the sidelines of the lecture, hosted by Kuwait's Information and Foreign Ministries, as well as an extensive photography exhibition marking this historic journey. The event's lecture focused on significant aspects within the long diplomatic ties between the two nations, who've shared strong bonds since 1964.
And we are always trying to improve and to our relations and to take them a step further. This is always in our minds, but this is just a symbolic event that is important in order to just remind us how important our relations have been in the course of these years and how much future we have before us.
The Spanish diplomats reiterated Spain's eagerness to further bolster already strong ties with Kuwait, wishing the next 50 years even more success. At the National Library of Kuwait, I'm Badria Saleh, reporting for the English News.
The main indices of the Kuwait Stock Exchange settled in the red zone upon the closing of today's session. The weighted index read 470.89, losing 4.89 points. The price index stood at 7,107.65, shedding up to 93.61 points, and the KSX 15 index settled at the level of 1,137.79 with a loss of 11.91 points. Number of trades amounted to 3,744 transactions worth 21 million Kuwaiti dinars, with 190 million shares changing hands. Egyptians in Kuwait, or EIK, in collaboration with Vigor Enterprise, hosted the second Egyptian stand-up comedy show in Kuwait, starring comedian Mohammed Salim as the headline act and 4 other comedians as supporting acts. EIK acts as a source of information for the Egyptian community residing in Kuwait, and aside from organising social events, it also provides information and job opportunities for new residents in the country. Sarah Glubb was at the show with this report.
Egyptians in Kuwait, or EIK, in association with All Gas Events, hosted the Baytullah Volume 2, the sequel for the first Egyptian stand-up comedy show in Kuwait, Baytullah Volume 1.
This is the second comedy show that we organize in Kuwait under the sponsorship of Egyptians in Kuwait, which is a community that we found in Kuwait. As you know, that Kuwait is a country where we have different nationalities. So our objective is to bring the interaction and to mix between these different nationalities. And as you know, the best thing to gather people is comedy. So this is the second show that we organize. And as you see, today we have more than 1,000 persons from at least 20 nationalities attending this event. Actually, we hosted today 5 comedians. Mohammed Salim, who is an international well-known comedian, not only in the Arabic world. And we have one local famous comedian, which is Mohammed Akwa. And we have 3 other comedians, Walid Abul Magd, Salah Hiddali, and Mina Nadir, that we brought from Egypt. These guys will be movie stars very soon. And as you see, the culture touch that they have and how they used the differences of culture that we have in Kuwait. Very soon we are organizing a family open day, which is like a competition between families from different nationalities. Also, we are organizing sports events in a very creative and different way. So you have to wait for this.
The one-of-a-kind event featured top stand-up comedians Mohammed Salim, Saleh Hiddali, Mina Nadir, Walid Abdul Majd, and Mohammed Akwa, who amazed the audience with their Egyptian-flavored, fast-paced, humorous stories, short jokes, and bits.
In every country, I'm trying to say jokes that everyone can relate to. For example, in Egypt, I can talk about how Egyptians talk and how the Egyptian slang. I cannot say these topics here, because or every other country. So I'm trying to be more general, more everyone can understand what I'm saying. Yeah, family issues, technology. I do clean. I don't want to go for sex or religion or I do it clean, completely clean, and any other topic I can talk about it. I love being here. People are lovely and they are so funny. They got every word that came out of my mouth, they get it, So I want to come back here.
EIK's main mission is to reunite Egyptians and help them become acquainted, build businesses, or simply hang out at their many events specifically tailored to bring the Egyptian spirit and atmosphere to the state of Kuwait. Following the immense success of the first Egyptian stand-up comedy show in Kuwait, Egyptians in Kuwait have hosted the sequel to the Baytullah comedy show, inviting these 5 talented comedians to return to Kuwait and amuse audiences with their hilarious jokes and anecdotes. From the Saphir International Hotel, this is Sarah Glubb reporting for English News.
For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. And to recap tonight's news, here are the headlines once again. His Highness the Emir leaves for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to join a meeting of the leaders of the Gulf Cooperation Council. The Council of Ministers and the Supreme Petroleum Council hold a joint meeting to discuss the impact of the ongoing drop in oil prices. Armed clashes break out in Libya's capital Tripoli, closing down the city's main working airport. A high-profile advocate of women's rights survives a blast in which 3 people are killed in Kabul. And the G20 group of nations agree to boost flagging global growth and to unite against Ebola. Thank you for joining us.